Welcome to A Certain Sound. Today we want to continue on with 2 Corinthians chapter 12. If you just joined us for the first time, we've been talking about Paul's thorn in the flesh. We're not necessarily stating what that thorn in the flesh was. But we're talking about things that emerge from the text that really encourage us. And one of the things we've been discussing is the fact that Paul didn't try to escape the issue. In other words, he prayed about it. He asked the Lord to deliver him from it. But once the Lord responded to him and said, "My grace is sufficient for you," that's it for Paul. He says, okay. He says, in fact, now, he says, I boast in it. Now I take pleasure in it. Why? So that the power of Christ may rest upon me, and that when I am weak, then I am what? Strong. You see, Paul gains a whole new perspective on life. He gains a new perspective on everything that is negative. Infirmities, reproaches, persecutions, necessities, distresses for his sake. Friends, don't you think that we need that? As Christians, we need to have the right outlook, the right viewpoint. How does he get this? Well, the Lord speaks to him. In other words, what the Lord is saying is, Paul, the way for you to go through this in the right manner is to never forget that you are not alone. You need to put God in the picture. You see, that's what happened to Paul. When the Lord speaks to him, answers his prayer, not in the way that he thought he would, but when he answered his prayer in this fashion, for me to take the thorn away from you would not be good for you. I got something better, and that's my grace and my strength. You see, friend, God knows what you need better than you do. And God is saying to Paul, I'm in the picture. You put me in the picture and things are different. Let me give you a little illustration to help to show this. Let's say that I had a piece of paper here and I'm going to draw a picture. On the picture or on the paper, I draw a picture of a tree. The tree's about that high in the picture, okay? Now, in the picture, as you look at that and you see a pine tree there, you don't know how big that pine tree is in that little picture that I drew. If I said to you, how big is that pine tree? You would say, well, Pastor Jerry, I don't know how tall that pine tree is. You drew it. Well, what if I then draw a picture next to the pine tree of a house and I make the house like this tall? Now the pine tree is in perspective. Now you know how big the pine tree is. It's a small pine tree in front of that house because the house is big. The pine tree is small. But you don't know how small the pine tree is until I put the house in the picture. When I put the house in the picture, it brings the pine tree into perspective. You then gain a correct view. You know how big the tree is because something else was put in the picture. Friend, our problem is that we don't put God in the picture. And when you put God in the picture, your problem is a lot smaller than you think. Because God is greater than your circumstance. Give him praise today, for your perspective is God is to be taken into account in all things. That's something I can glory in. That's something I can boast in. And that's something that will turn me around. And now I can say, all things work together for good to them who love God and are called according to his purpose. Amen? I don't think you can beat that. It's a perspective that says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. It's a perspective that says his power is made perfect in my weakness. Friend, you need the perspective that puts God back into your life. You need to see God in it. And when you do, your problems aren't as big as you thought because God is bigger than your problem.
Thank you for watching A Certain Sound Daily Video Devotional. Be sure to sign up for the iTunes podcast or daily email of A Certain Sound when you visit us online at www.acertainsound.com. A Certain Sound is a ministry of Word of Truth Christian Center in Bowling Green, Ohio. On behalf of Word of Truth Christian Center, I'm Sonetta. God bless and we'll see you tomorrow.